reintroduce you to John Cardillo. He is a Blaze contributor, investigative blogger at johncardillo.com, president of PsyID, and we've had him on the show. You've been on the show several times, John, and I wanted to talk to you because we reached out to you because what PsyID does is you look at you can crunch the numbers on the internet. You can look at Facebook and Twitter and everything else, and you can find original sources of things. You can find where the fires are burning and who started the fire. Right?
Yes. Good way to put it. Yes.
Okay. So my question was, radical Islamists, anti-Israel people, communists, socialists, will work together to destabilize Europe and the Western world. So now we're looking at Ferguson. That fits into the Western world. And I wanted to know, where is this push coming from, this anti-police push? Because I don't believe that it's actually grassroots. So I asked you to go in and look, who's starting the fire? And boy...
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Well, you're right. It's the Islamicists. It's the communists, it's the anti-Americans, and it's funded by a guy we all know, George Soros.
What a surprise.
To that $33 million that we can find.
Okay. So take me through the chalkboard. Show me what you found.
Okay. Let's walk through it.
You started with the two main guys.
Started with two main guys. So two main guys we started with was a guy named D-Ray McKesson and a guy named Sean King. Can
I start here?
Please.
Hashtag Black Lives Matter and hashtag Hands Up Don't Shoot.
Right.
Those are the two things that everybody knows.
Everyone knows them. Two most predominant hashtags used quite often by both of these guys.
Okay.
D-Ray McKesson's an interesting guy, well-educated guy, Bowdoin graduate. He's more of what I call third-generation social justice warrior. Let's call him SJW3. Okay. So he's really vocal on social media, and he's out there coordinating, conversing with all the usual suspects. Now, most often with the sympathetic media. And I think these four people in particular, Wesley Larry, Charles Blow, Melissa Harris Perry, Michael Eric Dyson, they've been about the most vocal when it comes to the Ferguson protest, the New York City protest, etc. So let's say they're fanning these flames down here. This guy, Sean King, has become an absolute pro at using GoFundMe and internet fundraising for the families. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of questions about where the money goes after he raises this money.
Okay.
There have been some questions about certain families, about Haiti, earthquake relief, all around Sean King's internet fundraising efforts.
Okay.
One lawyer consistently comes out and defends him, but I haven't seen a real audit done on any of this money.
Okay.
So it's sort of a he said, she said at this point. So as you start digging a little deeper into these guys, some interesting things start to happen. I'm going to pop up to the top and show you how this all sort of connects. As all this stuff came to a head, back in November, of all groups, SEIU, a union that I know you've spent a lot of time
quite
on.
well.
You know them real well. SEIU sends out a press release encouraging everybody. Now, I want to back up. You know how all these groups say we're independent, we don't work in concert with one another? SEIU sends out a press release telling everybody to go to Al Sharpton's National Action Network's Get Out the Vote rally in Ferguson, Missouri. They even go so far as to link to NAN, the National Action Network, in the press release. So the press release goes down. Who speaks at the National Action Network conference? Sure, Al Sharpton's people do, but so does the son of Elijah Muhammad, the founder of the Nation of Islam. Wow. In fact, he's one of the keynote speakers. We then find, let's go back a little bit again, I find D-Ray McKesson tweeting at the beginning of this with this guy, who's been in the news recently. This guy is a guy named John C. Muhammad. Now,
this is the guy who's like in the government, the local government,
yes.
Right?
Little town called Upland Park, Missouri.
Which is right
5 miles from Ferguson.
5 miles.
Yeah, 4.8 miles from Ferguson. He called himself a city manager, city administrator. Today I saw him called a city clerk. Really doesn't matter, because what's really important about this guy is this guy alleged that it was a false flag. The KKK shot the police officers in Ferguson.
Right.
What's even more interesting about this guy, and here's where nuance becomes important, he tweets in concert with Jeff City, at Jeff City NOI. In other words, at Jefferson City, Missouri, Nation of Islam's official account. That in and of itself, coincidental, well, maybe, maybe not. He's in the area. We know he's a member of the Nation of Islam because he promotes a foundation founded by Elijah Muhammad. What became very interesting to me is when I started analyzing speeches Farrakhan recently made, one particularly inflammatory speech, Farrakhan was talking about teaching children how to throw Molotov cocktails.
I'd heard that.
At the police, you heard that speech? Okay. In that speech, Farrakhan refers to Ferguson mistakenly as Jefferson, which put a light bulb off in my head that the Jeff City chapter of the Nation of Islam coordinating with this guy, why would he make the mistake unless he's getting reports from that chapter on the unrest in Ferguson? So now when you start to put all of this together, what starts to shake out becomes pretty scary because it's very well organized in a truly professional political sense. You've got the National Action Network, which has been incredibly effective as a political and PR wing, typically engaging in shakedown and smear. You've got Nation of Islam, which appears to be acting as the muscle because they're also bringing in elements of the new Black Panther Party. You know, Malik Shabazz was one of their guys, Black Panther guy. And you've got the SEIU handling all the organization. So they find the people to get on the buses, National Action Network. They put the muscle to protect the people on the buses, and they actually find the buses and get them from point A to point B. And so now you've got a very concerted effort. You've got the social justice warriors on social media getting this message out exponentially further than these guys ever could have done on their own. Well, something really interesting happened.
Okay, let me take a break because I want to hear if something interesting happens. Then I want you to take me to how do you know the 33 million from Soros, and then the pro-Palestinian, because that is really playing a very big role. We'll do that when we come back. All right, let's pick it right back up where you were. You said the interesting thing.
So interesting and really quick, in December, after that get out the vote little meeting, when these guys all spoke, there's a rally in D.C. D. Ray McKesson and his grassroots crew go there, thinking they're going to speak alongside everybody. Well, Al Sharpton says, not so fast. You've got to pay for VIP access, because he's getting a little bit more popular. Sharpton actually calls security on these guys on the McKesson 3.0.
That's what's happening.
And literally turns the mic off on the ones that are able to make it to the stage. So there's an interesting little rift now developing. Jesse Jackson's sort of hanging out in the middle with the Rainbow Push Coalition. He's, let's call him a COO type for all of this right now.
The elder statesman of radicals.
Exactly, the elder statesman. Now we know Soros is funding this because of his tax returns. We can find through two of his foundations. It's the Open Societies Foundation and Drug Policy Alliance. We can see 33 million that going into those that directly trickle down to this.
Have you checked anything on Tides Foundation?
Not yet.
Okay, can you look into that?
Certainly.
Because the Tides Foundation, I bet you, has millions. Can you imagine if the Tea Party would have ever would have received $33 million, what it could have done?
Oh, it would.
That's enormous amount.
But remember, Glenn, this is 33 million we know of.
We know of.
From the hundreds of millions that have come in.
From one guy.
From one guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Tides is on a list. I just couldn't get to it.
Oh, my God.
The voluminous information, by the time I had to get here to Dallas, I just couldn't parse through it all. Okay, so now here we get into the sinister angle of it all. So we know all these players, all pretty bad guys in their own right. Enter the pro-Palestinian group. Now, you've got a journalist, Raina Kalik, who basically...
From where?
She's just a pro-Palestinian journalist about the world.
Okay.
She's out there.
Freelancer.
Yeah, exactly. Freelancer. This guy, Sim Masri, who's another just sort of agitator, civil unrest kind of guy, pro-Palestinian, and Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan, which I did not realize had a song way back when they were popular called PLO Style.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And so she believes that the shots were actually aimed at the protesters, that this is all nonsense. Last week's shots, that those cops were hit by accident. He, like this guy, Muhammad, believes that it was false flag, believes that white supremacists or the KKK shot the cops to blame the protesters. Method Man says, too bad, cops, you reap what you sow. All three of them tie back and say, but This is just like the poor Palestinians and meeting all that aggression from those evil Israelis. Yep.
Zionist evil,
Zionist evil, Jewish plot, and they're behind this. In reality, what appears to be happening, my law enforcement sources, intelligence sources feel, it's information and intelligence sharing. They're learning from what's going on in Gaza and other places how to create more unrest here. And these guys are learning from them how to take tactics used in the Middle East and bring them to Ferguson.
How hard was this to find?
U.S. City. Not hard to find. A little bit labor intensive, but it's out there.
Okay.
It's out there.
So come on back and have a seat. If you have anything else?
No.
Okay, come on back and have a seat. So, why isn't anybody doing this?
Because they're afraid to tell the story. They don't want to tell it. It's not politically correct. It doesn't fit the narrative. It's not a story that they want getting out. You've got New York Times and MSNBC on that board. They don't want to tell that story. They don't want
the Washington Post.
And the Washington Post, I'm sorry, yes. They don't want to show that their people are complicit in fanning those little flames down there.
Okay. When I was out in Silicon Valley last week, they talked to me about how the organizations are getting flatter and flatter and flatter. And they said it's really about the connections and how many people you can connect to. That's what this is. That's what SEIU, that's why NAN and SEIU are so important, because they have all of those union people. Okay?
Thousands and thousands and
So help me out. What should the average person do? Because the best way, I mean, especially with the way Facebook runs their algorithms, I've got 3 million people on my Facebook page, but I can post this and maybe only 350,000 of them will actually see this. Even though they like my page, they don't see everything that I've done. So what I've been trying to figure out is, how do we get the information out more? How do we spread those people who like my page? How do they get this information out, and how do others make fatter connections?
I love Twitter as a tool for that. It's hitting a broader audience in real time, and it's hitting it with more frequency, and you can constantly get this information out. The Blaze Twitter is great, right? I pick up a lot of my news from the Blaze Twitter, and I can pick up the evolution of a story throughout the day from the Blaze Twitter. So I think that's an outstanding tool. I'm out there, people like myself, people like you, we're out there tweeting this all day long. And I think this is where the blogger army comes into play. When you've got thousands and thousands of like-minded bloggers, each getting those few thousand people that hit their blogs, well, those few thousands turn into tens of millions eventually. And if they've got a central repository of information like the Blaze, where they can get like-minded information and intelligence.
So, for instance, we're doing the Root special this week, and this week it's on the Armies of Armageddon. It covers kind of what we talked about at the beginning. Or this, I'd like you to go into another studio and we're just going to take an iPhone and just have you do this yourself. We'll put it up on our YouTube page, and I'll Facebook it and everything else. Tweet it out tonight.
Great.
But is there anything that our audience should do on those, when they see an important thing? Is there anything they should do with those besides like them?
Tweet them, save them. Tweet them at you. Tweet them at the Blaze. Tweet them at the people they know will spread that information. Because when I see people out there doing something that they shouldn't, at FBI, at CIA, well, they're not reading that. If you see something that's terror-centric or criminal-centric, make that phone call if you believe it really is. But if it's something that's just inflammatory and might imply civil unrest, and there's no imminent criminal threat, get it to a like-minded media personality.
So
currently, you're the only guy right now.
Well, at Breitbart or at Drudge.
At Drudge, at The Blaze, at Dana.
At Fox News.
At Fox News. But Fox hasn't run this as much as they should. And I'm a little disappointed in the way Megyn Kelly's done a great job.
Megyn is really good.
Yeah, but some of the others haven't. Michelle Malkin's done an awesome job.
It's the usual suspects.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is the same group of people. Any indication of where this is going next? Any indication that this is gathering steam with anybody who's real and not in this?
Well, yeah. I mean, my fear, based on the evolution that we've seen, is that it is not a long leap for ISIS to get involved in this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this. You've covered Farrakhan over the years. How many billions did he take from Libya, directly and indirectly?
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to be shy to take money from whoever's backing ISIS and help them get here. And the one threat, I know we were short on time, and one thing I tell everyone to watch prison converts to Islam.
Yes.
Watch them. They're a
We've been
threat.
talking
It's a
about
whole
that.
show. They're here. Don't watch the southern border. Watch prison. Watch parolees, probationers. They hate authority. They hate me and you, and they hate the government. And these are dangerous guys to begin with.
Okay.
Yep.
Will you do me a favor? Will you go back and look for the connections on that? I'll do a whole show with you, and also on Tides Foundation.
Absolutely.
We do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Spread this information. We'll have it up on Facebook, and we'll tweet it. Spread this information. Back in a minute.